Ooh, how's this lighting? I'm trying to fix my terrible lighting problem that I've had for the last 4 years. This is a little better, I think. Hello again. I have skipped a week and now I'm ready to talk about movies again. Like I said, I do hope you'll forgive me following my whims because right now I am on a movie kick and that's what I want to talk about on this channel. I hope to proceed to diversify a little bit here in the near future, but I have a few more things that I want to say at this moment about giallo, so that's going to be our subject again today. And this is my favorite gialli so far. There could be mild spoilers in this video. I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum. Number 1 is Case of the Bloody Iris, 1972, directed by Giuliano Carnimeo. I'm going to read you the synopsis, which I got off Letterboxd, the app, which you should get. Follow me. A high-rise apartment populated by models, nightclub dancers, and call girls becomes the focus of a mysterious serial killer. When a young model named Jennifer and her friend Marilyn move into one of the victim's former apartments, Jennifer becomes the next target, and the pair try to identify the killer. This was my first Edwige movie. Oh my gosh. She's just so awesome. She did such a good job portraying this really, really innocent character. I just loved her character, and I loved the apartment building, the community of like models, and then the fact that, you know, it's called The Case of the Bloody Iris, and then there actually are irises involved in the story. Like, love that. This was so good. I really like movies where the home or the apartment feels like home base. Like, you feel comfortable there, like, you know your way around the apartment and stuff. I like how it has that feeling of home to it. This film did a great job of that, and of course, like any movie with Edwige in it, I'm probably going to love. Favorite number 2, Case of the Scorpion's Tail, from 1971, directed by Sergio Martino. The Case of the Scorpion's Tail begins with the mysterious death of a millionaire and spirals into the murder of his suddenly rich wife, which draws the attention of a dogged investigator who follows a trail of blood to the bitter end. Okay, this film was really cool. Again, the title says something about a scorpion's tail, so I was very glad to see a scorpion was involved in some way. The cast was awesome. It almost started out like with a different main character, and then you get a new main character later, Anita Strindberg. And she starred with George Hilton. I love the two of them, and they work great together. I love the theme of wealth in these gialli. I love the extravagant homes, the extravagant lifestyles, and all of that. I feel like this film is the prime example of a giallo and what a giallo should be. Fantastic. Great one. Number 3, Murder Obsession, from 1981, directed by Riccardo Freda. Michael is a successful actor, but he has a scandal in his past. He and his girlfriend Deborah go to his mother's for the weekend and are joined by the director and others from a recent film project, who are given a rather cool reception by the superstitious housekeeper Oliver. Soon, rude things begin happening to some of the guests, and Michael fears a repeat of his nightmare past is in progress. That is just not a very good description. When it says they go to his mother's place, they mean his mother's castle, his mother's abandoned castle in the woods. Like, it's a gothic setting. Thunderstorms, it's dark, it's creepy. It gets kind of supernatural a little bit. Like, the imagery is so powerful. We also have Laura Gemser in this film, and I have been wanting to see a movie with her in it once I found out who she was, because she's just beautiful. So I was glad to stumble upon a movie with her in it. And the whole story is great. You know, you get all these twists and turns. It's quite erotic, as most of these movies are. It was really good, totally worth it. This one was intense, and it's a keeper. Number 4, Phenomena, from 1985, directed by Dario Argento. A young girl with an amazing ability to communicate with insects is transferred to an exclusive Swiss boarding school where her unusual capability might help solve a string of murders. Okay, when I first heard about this movie, I was like, oh, it's a girl that can control bugs, like whatever. It's not really the main focus of the storyline. So this movie, its imagery really, really stays in your mind. We're in this beautiful setting in the Swiss Alps. There's a lot of like flowing white attire. And the setting of an all-girls school is like one of my favorite settings for any movie. All-girls school, girls sleepover, like sororities, anything like that is my jam. And the story was actually, I mean, it is Argento. I think this was my second Argento movie ever. Anyway, I was really surprised at how many layers there are to the story. I was just really, really delighted with this movie. And the soundtrack was really cool. This is probably like my second favorite Argento film. Number 5, my first favorite Argento film, Suspiria from 1977, directed by Dario Argento. From the moment she arrives in Freiburg, Germany, to attend the prestigious Tanz Academy, American ballet dancer Susie Bannion senses that something horribly evil lurks within the walls of this age-old institution. This is basically the film that started it all for me in terms of figuring out what giallo is. Obviously, it's a visual experience. That's really what it's known for, is its colors and the way that it's shot. That's definitely what gripped me, but also these deaths are gruesome and creative. And that really stood out to me. It was different than the American horror I had become so accustomed to. They just took it to the next level. And like I said before, I love like the fake blood. Oh, and of course, have to mention the soundtrack by Goblin. My friend Sky and I actually saw Goblin perform. They did a little tour. So they came here and they screened Suspiria and then Goblin played the soundtrack live. I can't believe I did that. Favorite giallo number 6. Opera from 1987. Another Dario Argento movie. I'm sorry, there are a lot of Argento movies on here, but that's just my truth, okay? A young opera singer is stalked by a deranged fan bent on killing the people associated with her to claim her for himself. I just really enjoyed this one. I wasn't sure if I would. Dario, you know how to do it, okay? Like the whole needles taped under the eye thing. I loved it. I loved it. And of course the setting and everything. It was just beautiful, brilliant, had a great time with opera. Number 7, Deep Red from 1975, another Argento movie. I am sorry. A musician witnesses the murder of a famous psychic and then teams up with a feisty reporter to find the killer while evading attempts on their lives by the unseen killer bent on keeping a dark secret buried. Okay, that was a pretty weird description as well. This was another great time. It was wonderful to have Daria in a big role in this movie. I love spending time with her. And yeah, I think this one's considered by a lot to be a quintessential giallo. Number 8, Death Laid an Egg from 1968, directed by Giulio Questi. A love triangle develops between 3 people who run a high-tech chicken farm. It involves Anna, who owns the farm, her husband Marco, who kills prostitutes in his spare time, and Gabriella, the very beautiful secretary. Marco continues to kill as jealousy becomes more prevalent on the farm. This is arguably my second giallo I ever watched, if you do count Suspiria in being my first. It's funny because the reason I watched this is not because I knew anything of giallo. It's because the lead actress, Ava, it's probably Ava. Anyway, this actress, who eventually I'm going to learn how to say her name before I come on camera, she's the reason I wanted to watch this movie. Also, the title Death Laid an Egg is like the best title ever, and I was like, what is this going to be about? It was really good. I look back on it fondly, even though I had no other gialli to compare it to. I felt like it wasn't really scary. It was more of like a drama up until the end, like when killing did become more involved. I was also hoping for a little more like chicken body horror, but we didn't get very much of that. But it doesn't matter because Ava is a goddess. Number 9, Black Belly of the Tarantula from 1971, directed by Paolo Cavara. Strangely enough, his other movie, Plot of Fear, was in my least favorites. Inspector Tellini investigates serial crimes where victims are paralyzed while having their bellies ripped open with a sharp knife. Okay, part of the reason why I love this film so much is simply because of the killer's method. It's so awful. He takes this huge needle, huge, big, thick needle, and he jams it into the neck of his victims, which are beautiful women. They're paralyzed, but they can still feel, they're still conscious. And then he cuts them up. It's brutal. And the story is just really good. The lead guy is great. This is a giallo that's like kind of focused around a man, which seems like they're usually more like female focused, but this one's starring a dude and he's great. It's really all around a great time. Favorite number 10, The House with Laughing Windows from 1976, directed by Pupi Avati. One of you guys either suggested this one to me or listed it as one of your favorites. And with a title like that, I had to check it out. A young restorer, they mean like an art restorer. A young restorer is commissioned to save a fresco representing the suffering of Saint Sebastiano, which was painted on the wall of a local church by a mysterious long-dead artist. Automatically, this is way different than other gialli I have seen. It takes place in a very rustic, rural kind of setting. So yeah, this artist comes to this town to do a job, and one of the best parts about this setting, he gets put up in a house to stay while he's in town. The person that puts him up in there is like, okay, now my elderly mother is bedbound upstairs, but just like, she won't bother you. I was like, you're putting me up in a house with a stranger upstairs? Like, it's just so weird. It's so fun. This is a great movie. It has a nice twist ending. It has, some deaths. Not as much as others, but we are in a rural area. And yeah, I loved this one a lot. Number 11, The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward from 1971, directed by Sergio Martino. When socialite and heiress Julie Ward begins receiving blackmail letters attributed to a mysterious serial killer, she suspects her cruel and sadistic former lover Jean is behind them. With her husband Neil frequently out of town, she falls into the arms of her friend's cousin George. As the unknown assassin begins to make his move, she fears that one of the 3 men in her life may be the killer. So much could be said about this one. This is another movie starring Edwige. I love her in this role. Like I was saying, she has this like innocence about her. So even though she's a lady that basically has 3 men at one time, you still aren't looking at her like, You're empathizing with her. You're not blaming her. You're not judging her. You're still rooting for her. I don't know how she does it. The interiors in this movie are beautiful. The visuals, the cinematography, beautiful. The cast, fantastic. Love George Hilton. I loved the surprise ending. This is one of my most favorites. And I've seen that it's compared a lot to Martino's other film, All the Colors of the Dark. It was hard for me to not put All the Colors of the Dark on this list as well, but in my mind there's so many similarities between Strange Vice and All the Colors, and if I had to choose, it would definitely be Strange Vice is my favorite of the two. Let me know what you think down below. As far as All the Colors of the Dark, I was kind of expecting Edwige's character to be different. She's really just an all-around fearful character in All the Colors, the same way she is in Strange Vice. It almost seemed like a repeat of the same character. Now, I need to rewatch both of these movies because I've only seen them both one time. But that's just kind of how I felt. And it had the same 3 people in it. That's really confusing, right? But I would say I prefer Strange Vice. Number 12. Torso from 1973, another Sergio Martino. A masked serial killer with psychosexual issues strangles female co-eds with scarves before dismembering them. When a wealthy student identifies one of the scarves and thinks she has a lead on the suspect, she becomes the killer's next target. She retreats to her family's remote cliffside villa with 3 of her girlfriends. This is a brutal slasher, okay? This has everything I want. You know how I said I like groups of girls isolated, so this is basically like a little slumber party up in this beautiful villa, which I also love. This is my first movie with Susie Kendall, and I love her. She does so great. This whole film is cast really well. Love how the killer does his stuff. It's really disturbing. The violence is really intense, and everything is shot awesomely. This was very good. Sleazy, nah, but still, again, worth it. Number 13, Spasmo from 1974, directed by Umberto Lenzi. While walking along the beach, these aren't very good. I should write my own. While walking along the beach, Christian and his girlfriend discover a mysterious woman washed ashore. The following day, Christian meets the woman again at a yacht party and soon finds himself entangled in a web of lust, intrigue, and murder. I was just really happy with this one. There's like in a lot of gialli, you get a lot of like paranoia and gaslighting, and you're like, is the character crazy or is everyone against him? You know, it's got that kind of environment building up. Very unsettling, like lots of twists and turns. Again, this is another like male-focused film. I really like Christian, and this one's a winner. Check it out. Number 14, The Red Queen Kills 7 Times from 1972. Directed by Emilio Miraglia. How'd I do? An age-old family curse hits sisters Kitty and Francisca following the death of their grandfather Tobias. Every 100 years, the legend goes, the bloodthirsty Red Queen returns and claims 7 fresh victims. Was Tobias the first, and are Kitty and Francisca the next? This is, again, one of the earlier gialli that I watched in my journey. This is my first time seeing Barbara Boucher, and I was like, who is this queen? Not the Red Queen, or is she? I don't know. This was really great. It was also very gothic, you know, castles and dungeons and stuff, and had a little bit of a supernatural suggestion here with this Red Queen resurrecting from the dead. So this was awesome, full of surprises as you would expect, and Barbara Boucher was fantastic. Oh, and there was one particular kill that just had me shook. I'm going to tell you what happens, so if you don't want the spoilers on how somebody dies, skip to the next chapter. Okay, so this lady's like crawling up this like wrought iron fence, right? The kind with like the spikes at the top. And of course she gets tripped up and falls and gets like impaled right through there. And I was like, number 15, A Blade in the Dark from 1983, directed by Lamberto Bava. You already know I just did a review on this movie a few videos ago. A killer stalks a composer staying at a posh Tuscany villa while writing this. This is a terrible sentence. Here's my own synopsis. Bruno, a horror movie composer, rents a Tuscany villa to work on his latest project. Soon, strange things start happening around the property, and Bruno suspects murder. There. How about that? This to me is kind of a comfort movie at this point. Being one of my first gialli, and also the fact that it's so kind of childish and silly, but also some of these kills are so intense, and it's even kind of funny. I don't know if it meant to be funny, but this is just, I think it's a really wholesome movie. It's a great comfort movie. This will always be on my favorites list. Number 16, What Have You Done to Solange? 1972. Directed by Massimo Dallamano. After several co-eds are murdered at a college, a professor who is having an affair with one of the students becomes a suspect. When other gruesome murders start occurring shortly thereafter, the teacher suspects that he may be the cause of them. This might be my top favorite. This was so dark and disturbing. I was amazed. This is prime giallo content right here. Once again, I guess I don't think it's an all-girls school. Maybe it is. We'll say all-girls school. I might be wrong. Once again, all-girls school. Also, we have this like kind of coming of age theme. So we have wayward teens, like teens misbehaving, and these kills. The way this murderer kills people is very gruesome, but also is justified, okay? And it's like, there's gonna be mild spoilers here, so skip to the next if you don't want to hear it. We don't meet Solange till the end, but the movie's so freaking good up until that point, and then you meet Solange and it's even better. There were so many layers of surprise to this movie that I was just blown away. This was so good. Also, we have Fabio Testi. He did so great, and I loved the entire cast. This is an A+. And number 17, we're gonna wrap it up with The Lizard in a Woman's Skin from 1971. Directed by Lucio Fulci. I don't know. Carol Hammond, the sexually frustrated wife of a successful London lawyer, is having bizarre erotic dreams about her uninhibited neighbor Julia, who presides over noisy, sex and drug-filled parties in the house next door. One night, Carol's dreams culminate in violent death, and she wakes to find her nightmares have become reality. Julia has been murdered, and Carol is the main suspect. Was she set up, or did she really do it? Now that was a good description. Yes to that description. So in my mind, for some reason, I kind of pair this movie with Don't Torture a Duckling, and I guess it's because of the leading lady being in both films. I definitely preferred this one over Don't Torture a Duckling. I love this kind of juxtaposition of the two neighbors and just this sort of like culture clash and class clash, and basically Carol feeling like she's too good for that, but deep in her mind she's really curious about what her neighbor is up to. This is a very like trippy, psychedelic, like dreamy kind of film, and I love that. And it also has a little bit of like a supernatural potential in there, you know, like, did I kill her in my dream? This was a great one. One of you guys recommended it, I think, so I'm glad I got around to that one. Wow, and that's the list. Tell me what you thought. Do you agree or disagree with any of these movies that made it to my favorites list? Do you have a movie you think I should definitely see now that you can tell what I like? All of these, I think almost all of them I watched either on Amazon Prime or on YouTube. There is a channel called Giallo Realm. Check them out because they have a lot of movies uploaded. At this point, I have watched 46 gialli. I'm keeping track. So I'm 46 in. I thought I was going to bring this to a close, but I just can't stop. It's just where I'm at right now. So I hope you enjoyed watching my list. If you haven't seen one of these and you end up checking it out, let me know what you thought. And that's all for this one. I have one or two more videos I want to make on the subject of giallo for now. And then other than that, we'll be maybe moving on. So hope you enjoyed. Thanks for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye!